Eastern Conference in the NHL playoffs is already set, and the Western Conference is just waiting on Game 7 between the Oilers and the Canucks. Big storyline there. We'll get all into that next on The Crease. Welcome into The Crease. Before we get into all that really good hockey playoff action that I just broke down in the intro, I want to give a big shout out to one of our affiliates, and that is W. If you're a big energy drink guy like me, but you don't like any of that, all that sugar and the crash and all the jitters that it gives you, W is the energy drink supplement for you. They have a jitterless, pure focus energy with all the things you want and other things you don't. Tons of great flavors. I just put another order in for their one of their dragon fruit flavors. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait for it to come in. Really excited about that. But you can go to w.gg, use our code THEHOUSECALL, all caps, no spaces, THEHOUSECALL, get 10% off your order and help support the House Call podcast. Highly recommend them. Cannot say enough. And they don't just have energy supplements. They have hydration supplements as well as shaker bottles, water bottles, and all kinds of other apparel, and just really good stuff. So check out W at w.gg. Link will be in the description of this video, as well as the code to get you 10% off of your order. So let's go ahead and get into the only series that is still waiting for there to be decided here from the second round, and that is the Canucks and the Oilers. And the big storyline there is Brock Boeser is not going to be playing Game 7. That's right. The guy with the natty hattie in this series is out. The news right now is that we're not really sure why he's out. There's been some rumors. I'm not going to speculate. But the big news is he will not be playing Game 7. And that does not look good for the Canucks. They really need him. I feel like he's a key piece of that offense. Obviously, the natty hattie that he had against the Oilers already this year kind of put the last nail in the coffin of Stuart Skinner, and for that goalie change that the Oilers had, and they've kind of rebounded from that. And Game 7 is you need your best players on the ice, and not having Boeser is going to be a large hole. I don't know if the Canucks can overcome it. I really don't. It's a glaring issue now, and although the Oilers, we know what they are, we know what they don't do well, we know what they do well, and let's be fair, the Canucks could probably still beat them in Game 7. It's going to be interesting for sure. That series obviously has been pretty entertaining so far. I mean, what can you say about it realistically here? It's been back and forth. I mean, the home team's winning, away team's winning. It can go either way. I actually had the Oilers beating the Canucks here, so I'm going to stick with my pick. I think McDavid and Draisaitl get it done. I think that Knoblauch gets these guys into the Western Conference Finals. Unfortunately, I don't know if they make it much further than that. I think the Dallas Stars are going to absolutely rock them. I think they're going to rock either of the teams that come out of this, especially if Boeser's on the shelf long term, which is one of the rumors is that he's out indefinitely. So that does not look good for the Canucks if they're able to make it past this series. But I'm going to stick with the Oilers. They're going to have a full accoutrement of assets at their disposal. The Canucks have a glaring hole now that Boeser is on the shelf. And unfortunately, it's going to be the end of what realistically was kind of a Cinderella story for the Canucks this year. On this segment specifically, we've been waiting for their downfall. And I just don't see a way that they're able to overcome this. Not to say they can't. It just, the odds get significantly tougher the minute you have a star like Boeser not on the ice. So I'm going to go with Edmonton here. I think Edmonton moves on, and they will face Ian's Dallas Stars. And I know if Ian was here, he would be ready for my breakdown of this series. And I'm going to give it to you right now. So in the regular season series between Edmonton and Dallas was 2-1. They scored four power play goals, which means they had a 50% conversion rate on their power plays against Edmonton. Edmonton had one power play goal on 12 tries. It is atrocious. Even though all of that went Dallas's way, 2 of the 3 games were decided by 1 goal, 3-4 Dallas in their first meeting, 4-3 Edmonton in the second meeting. And the third meeting was the absolute just demolishment of the Edmonton Oilers, where Edmonton was blown out 5-0 back on April 3rd. So just a little over a month and a half ago, these two teams faced, and Dallas absolutely blew them off the ice. I think Dallas is clicking on all cylinders. They made quick work of the Avalanche. They took them a little bit longer against the Golden Knights. I thought the Avalanche were going to get them in that series. Dallas proved me wrong. The Knights, they seemed to come on there for a second. I thought the Knights were going to close them out. Dallas, got their head right, got back into it. The Stars honestly just look like they're the most unstoppable thing next to the New York Rangers right now. I'm not going to say Edmonton doesn't have a chance, but I only see this series going 6 games. Dallas just plays better defense. I think their goalie, their crease plays better with Ottinger. Obviously, Edmonton has had to switch goalies up in this series. After coming off a series in which they won 4 games to 1 against the Kings, where Stuart Skinner looked like he was, destined for a decent playoff run. He comes into this Vancouver series, and it is not the same. I do kind of blame Edmonton's defensive play. They were turning the puck over in the offensive and their defensive zone way too much, giving Vancouver clean looks at Skinner. And, you just can't do that, especially when they got guys like Boeser on the ice. So I think that as far as a Western Conference prediction right now, I think Edmonton's going to go face Dallas. I think the Stars are going to probably take that series. I don't think that, even with all the offensive firepower, I think this is where Edmonton just cannot outscore their problems. And, we've been saying for far too long that Edmonton can outscore their problems. And honestly, at the end of the year, we're going to be talking about how Edmonton needs to definitely pick up some goalie help. I mean, the way it looks like in Boston right now, Jeremy Swayman is your starter moving forward. That means Linus Ullmark could be available. There's going to be goalie options out there for Edmonton, and I think that's their biggest glaring weakness. And then some defensive help. They need some major help on the defensive side of the puck. It's just absolutely terrible. I mean, we've known that's been a problem for them for a really long time. I think No Block had them playing out of their minds, like people playing significantly better than they're actually capable of, which is fine during the regular season, but you can't expect that night in, night out against top tier talent, which is what you're facing right now. I mean, these teams in the playoffs, especially, when you're talking second round Western Conference Final playoffs, these are not, getting the Sharks on a short night or something like that. No, these are playoff teams. These are good rosters, and this is where weaknesses show up. This is where you get exposed. And I think Edmonton, for all of what they have offensively, their defense is going to get exposed here, and Dallas is going to absolutely just do what they did to them in the regular season. They're going to take every game they possibly can against these guys. Edmonton's penalty kill is not capable of handling Dallas. It's just not going to happen. So I got Dallas moving on to the Stanley Cup Finals. I know Ian is going to love to hear that when he watches this episode. The person who's not going to like to hear that is Gage. His bracket pick was not Dallas. He's got Edmonton pretty much going all the way. So sorry, Gage. Go, Ian. Your Dallas Stars are in the Stanley Cup Final, and they will be taking on the winner of this Eastern Conference Final matchup we got, which I am very excited about this matchup. I think this is going to be this was the matchup everybody wanted. I think, Florida's kind of on a revenge tour. They want to complete what they did last season and were ultimately, cut short of by the Golden Knights. But now they have a hurdle, which is the New York Rangers, who are your President Trophy winners, and they've looked like the President Trophy winners pretty much this entire playoff run. I mean, they did kind of give up a game that I think they should have won to Carolina. That series should have been over in 5, in my opinion. I think the Rangers let them off the hook there to get them to 6. I think, Florida's game 1 loss to Boston, we saw that coming. Boston was coming off of a really emotional series. Florida had been kind of sitting around for a little while. They came out slow, sort of lethargic, and Boston jumped on them. I think that, game 5 there for Boston was kind of a last-ditch effort. We kind of knew they were going to come out and give a really, just the best shot they possibly could. Florida came out and handled them in game 6, and honestly, Florida deserves to be here. They're just a more complete team. I think, similar to what I said about the Oilers, they exposed Boston's weaknesses. And if you didn't think they exposed them, I mean, Toronto surely showed them the blueprint. I mean, they shouldn't have dropped the 3 games they dropped to Toronto, but that's who Boston is right now. They don't have that just killer defense. But the good news is you found out Jeremy Swayman is that guy. Jeremy Swayman is absolutely that guy. You got some young defensemen who needed to get some playoff experience. They got that. I think they're going to come back better. They also have a lot of cap space to really shore up some of the holes on what was essentially a second-round playoff team here. So Boston gets eliminated. Florida shows who they are. I think this series goes 7. I think this is a 7-game series. It is going to be tough for me to say that the Panthers beat the Rangers, but to say it's not possible is a flat-out lie. I think Florida can do this. They actually took the season series 2-1. Their power play percentage was right about 25%, whereas the Rangers was about 33%. So both teams got power play goals. Both teams shot the puck pretty competitively, pretty close. I think game 1 had a 33-34 shots for, shots against for the Panthers. 30-28 shots for, shots against for the Panthers, and 30-37 shots for, shots against. And the only game that they lost to the Rangers was the game where they were outshot by seven shot attempts, 37-30, and the Rangers only got them by 1 goal. So this series during the regular season was very tight. No team scored more than 4. Each game is decided by 2 or fewer goals. I mean, this was a very tight competitive series. I think it's going to be a very tight competitive playoff series. It's going to be interesting to see how, the grueling series that Florida had with Boston. There was a lot of big hits in that series, a lot of rowdiness. A lot of hits just going off there. And, the Rangers, obviously, they've had a little more rest now. Florida's kind of had, they've kind of been going through it a little bit with Boston. That Florida-Tampa Bay series had tons of hits. It was insane how many hits that series had. So Florida's been getting the gauntlet right now, even though they didn't play a lot of games against Tampa and they got out of it in 6 against Boston. They have been hit a lot. And the Rangers are a physical team. I see the Rangers winning this series in 7. I still think it goes 7, but I would not be surprised to see a Dallas Stars Florida Panthers Stanley Cup Final. That is another thing Gage would not want to see. He's got the Rangers going to the Stanley Cup Final in his bracket. I find it difficult to pick against the Rangers. I called this earlier in the playoffs. I called it round 1. I said, the Rangers look like the President's Trophy team that is going to finally break the curse, and I'm going to stick with that. The Rangers are going to go to the Stanley Cup, represent the Eastern Conference in the Stanley Cup against your Dallas Stars, Ian, and I am praying for this. I need the President's Trophy curse to be broken. I want it to be broken. It needs to happen, and I think the Rangers are the team to do it because they have looked absolutely dominant, where past President's Trophy winning teams had glaring weaknesses, and they were what you call regular season teams. I think Edmonton is the example of a regular season team this year, or that's in the playoffs right now. Boston, regular season team. These were those kinds of teams that if they had won the President's Trophy, you're like, yeah, those guys are probably not going. The Rangers have not shown a lot of weakness. They're getting good goalie play. They're getting good defensive play. Their offensive, players are absolutely playing out of their minds. There's a lot of just well-rounded roster in New York right now. This is the Rangers team that looks like it is just all about business. They don't take any breaks. I just don't see a way the Rangers don't win this series. I do think it's going 7 regardless. You're going to have to accept that. But it is going to be one of the best series of this playoff so far. The Dallas Stars Vegas Golden Knights series was pretty good. The Boston Toronto series was pretty good. But this is the series right here that I am the most excited about. I just think that these are 2 incredible teams, and if one of these teams was in the other conference, I would think that these 2 teams would face each other in a Stanley Cup. That's how good I think both of these teams are. I think that they're both better than the entire bracket in the West. And, not to show my hand too early on the Stanley Cup Final, but that is how I see this thing going. It'll be interesting to see how these series break out. We'll be back here to break all of that action down for you as it happens. Next week, we'll be right back here, same crazy time, same crazy place, giving you the breakdown of how these series are progressing, what we got right in our predictions, what we're getting wrong in our predictions, and how we see the series moving forward, as well as possibly a little sneak peek into the Stanley Cup Final. But until then, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on all of our social media platforms, as well as share this video, help grow the crease and check out our webpage. I'll put the link in the description of this video for our webpage. It's where all of our blogs are. All of our video links are there as well. You can also check out all of our affiliate links that we have there on our affiliates link, which will take you to our link tree. Be sure to watch Stanley Cup Finals, playoffs, all that stuff going on right now. Until then, I'm Joe. This has been The Crew.